The Rose Fairy and the Thistle Fairy in the middle of a sunlit meadow, where bees hummed like golden bells and the wind played in tall grasses, two fairies made their homes. The Rose Fairy lived among the blooms of the wild roses. She was as lovely as her flowers, soft of voice, gentle of step, and always dressed in petals the color of dawn. Bees bowed to her, butterflies followed her, and all who passed admired her sweetness. The Thistle Fairy lived nearby, in a patch of purple thistles. She was sharp, spirited, and strong, her gown edged with spines and her laughter quick as a spark. But the animals avoided her, afraid of her prickly ways. When children came gathering flowers, they picked roses for garlands and crowns, but never thistles. So the two quarreled often. "Everyone loves me," said the Rose Fairy with a smile one afternoon. "Who could ever prefer your thistles?" "At least I'm not fragile," snapped the Thistle Fairy. "One touch and your petals fall." The Rose Fairy sniffed and turned away. The Thistle Fairy bristled and crossed her arms. And so it went, day after day. But one summer, the skies grew heavy and the wind grew wild. A great storm rolled over the meadow, darker than any the fairies had ever seen. Rain poured in sheets, the ground turned to rushing water, and the flowers bent beneath the weight of the storm. The Rose Fairy clung to her blossoms, weeping as their petals tore away. "My roses are drowning," she cried. The Thistle Fairy stood firm in her patch. Her roots ran deep, anchoring the soil, keeping the hillside from washing away. The other flowers clung to the earth that her roots held tight, and when the storm finally passed, the meadow still stood, shaken, but alive. The Rose Fairy looked around at her battered roses, and then at the thistles, tall and steady, their purple crowns still glowing with rain. Slowly, she walked to the Thistle Fairy and bowed her head. "I see now," she whispered. "It isn't beauty alone that keeps a meadow safe. You are stronger than I ever knew. And without your roots, none of us would be here." The Thistle Fairy softened. She brushed a raindrop from the Rose Fairy's cheek. "And without your roses," she said, "the meadow would be dull indeed. Beauty and strength, perhaps we are meant to stand together." From that day on, the two became friends. The Rose Fairy brought color and perfume, delighting the bees and children alike. The Thistle Fairy brought roots and resilience, holding the meadow fast against wind and storm. And together, they learned that every fairy, soft or sharp, gentle or strong, has a gift worth cherishing.